Legend of Ling Tian. Chapter 4: Training in the Womb. Ling Tian immediately became depressed. Out of a moment of excitement, he became a spinning top and spun himself into a godforsaken place. Everywhere around him was filled with a gel-like substance, and he became as small as a gourd. Furthermore, his body was being hung up. Such an appearance was just like the pre-born bottle gourd babies, which he saw in his previous life in animation. The worst part was that his body was completely smooth, without any limbs. Don't tell me I infringed the heavenly laws. F***K, didn't I merely test a human spinning top on Yellow Springs Road? Is there really a need to hang me up like that to punish me? Ling Tian almost cursed out of frustration. Wait, just what is going on? I can vaguely hear someone talking, let me listen carefully. Husband, our child is moving. Following which, there was a vague male's voice, let me hear. Husband. Just what is going on? Ling Tian was completely dumbfounded. Don't tell me I've reincarnated so quickly. But why is it, husband? Even if I reincarnate, I should be hearing, hubby. Don't tell me, not only did I reincarnate, but I've also traveled to a different world. Fuck. Such absurd things, which only happens in web novels, really happened to me. Ling Tian was completely confused. After checking his whole body carefully, it was indeed the general shape of a human being. The shape was just like the fetus, which he studied during high school. Why did this happen? I haven't even passed the bridge of helplessness. I haven't even tried Grandmother Mang's soup. I still wanted to sing a song on the home viewing pavilion. Why am I being sent away in such a hurry? Ling Tian cried out. But just when he opened his mouth, a glue-like substance entered. At the same time, the rope which was tied to his body delivered an endless stream of pure sentient qi. Ling Tian sensed the surroundings around him. There aren't any other living organisms around. It seems that I don't have a twin. So I should be the only child. Ling Tian thought to himself. After a series of checks, Ling Tian finally confirmed that he had indeed reincarnated. Although he was not sure how he had passed through into a different world, he was sure that he was currently in the womb of a noble pregnant lady. Praise to the goddess. This world is really too amazing. It seems that they are also speaking Chinese outside, that's convenient. At least I still seem to be on Earth, Ling Tian thought. From his own experience, from what he could see, it seemed like he was only 3 to 4 months old. In other words, it would take another 5 to 6 months before he was born. As he thought about how he had to spend the next 5 to 6 months in this dark place, Ling Tian could not help but go crazy. I have already been lonely for my past life, and now I have to continue living alone. Just where is justice? Since things are so, I can only accept it, Ling Tian thought to himself. At this moment, Ling Tian suddenly thought about the greatest regret of his past life. After being framed, a single palm to my inner core had destroyed all of my pride and hope. I actually had the chance to convert all of my inner qi from Houtian to Xiantian, but Wait, what did I just think of? Ling Tian's eyes lit up. Framing, crippled, Houtian. Xiantian qi. Isn't this rope that is attached to me sending me the Xiantian qi which I dreamt of? Such a golden opportunity and a godsend gift, how can I miss it? Wahahaha, the heavens gave me a younger sister Lin, a naked younger sister Lin. Ling Tian became completely excited to the point where he almost danced in joy. Thinking about this, Ling Tian immediately felt that his life would not be so boring anymore. At least he would still be able to cultivate his inner qi. Ling Tian first concentrated his attention on the divine shocking dragon formula, which was the treasured cultivation method of the Ling family. He recalled the mnemonic and channel roots in detail and ran it through his head. Ling Tian knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for him and he would not allow any mistakes. Reincarnating with the memories of his past life was something extremely amazing. It was just like a billionaire who realized that he reincarnated with all of his money. Oh my god, his starting point was already having Xiantian Qi, while some martial cultivators will never be able to achieve such a feat. He had such a chance even before he was in a complete human form. If he did not make good use of this chance, it would be a complete waste of the blessings of his ancestors and God. Up until now, Ling Tian still couldn't understand why he suddenly reincarnated. However, it was probably related to the moment he became a human spinning top. But all of these were no longer his concerns anymore. The only thing which Ling Tian was concerned with was the weak meridians in his body. Ling Tian was extremely clear that he was no more than a ball of meat then. At the most, he was a ball of meat with sentience. His predicament was extremely dangerous. After all, if his mother were to fall, it was extremely likely that he would be reduced to a pile of blood and be expelled from her body like she is having menstruation. Thus, Ling Tian's priority was to strengthen his body. He had to make sure that he would be unaffected by any medicine and impacts. Even if he was going to go through many tribulations, he definitely needed to hold on till his birth. In order to strengthen his body, he had to use the Xiantian Qi from his mother's body and the inner Qi cultivation method from his previous life. But the problem was that Ling Tian's meridians were extremely narrow and frail at that moment. He did not know if infants were always that weak, but he felt like he was a complete weakling. Since he planned to do so, he decided he wouldn't hold anything back. Ling Tian then carefully circulated the Xiantian Qi around the meridians of his body like he was carving on tofu. As though a century had passed, Ling Tian finally completed the first full cycle in his meridians with the Xiantian Qi. All of a sudden, he became extremely fatigued as though he had just crossed a tightrope on a 10,000 feet high cliff holding an extremely fragile jade stone. It's too tortuous. As Ling Tian woke up, that was the first thing he wanted to curse. After a full cycle, Ling Tian felt that his meridians were wider and stronger than before and became more confident. Despite his complaints, Ling Tian was extremely clear that the most difficult segment of circulating his inner qi was the first full cycle. Not only did he have to pay close attention to ensure that he did not take a wrong route, he had to carefully control the right amount of qi flowing through his meridians to slowly widen them. Then, he could unblock his meridians with the widened channels and finally allow the inner qi to flow as per the depicted route. As long as any segments went wrong, he would be dead for sure. At times, Ling Tian thought to himself, if I enter cultivation deviation in my mother's womb. As he thought about that, he immediately stopped himself. No, that's inauspicious. Ever since he had a talk with Ling Shuer on Yellow Springs Road, Ling Tian realized that he had a large change in character. Perhaps it was because the knot in his heart had finally been undone. As such, he was no longer as extreme in his ways as he was in his past life, and he also had a more cheerful disposition. Ling Tian didn't reckon that Ling Shuer had lied to him at such a time, since people normally spoke from the bottom of their hearts upon approaching death. Furthermore, not only were the both of them about to die, they were already dead and walking along Yellow Springs Road. There was simply no reason for Ling Shuer to lie to him. No matter what, I have already reincarnated. All of those things which happened in the past no longer has anything to do with me. From now on, I must try my best to adapt to my new status. I will definitely work hard in this world to make sure that I have my dreams, character, money, power, martial arts, and a beautiful lady. He then took in a deep breath. Oh, no, he choked on the amniotic fluid in his mother's womb again. Then, Ling Tian began to use the Xiantian qi to strengthen his meridians again. He had to try his best to make sure that he was invincible from birth. Ling Tian began to fantasize again. It seems like there is really such a formidable person in my memory. He seems to be the one from Investiture of the Gods. The moment Ling Tian thought about that, he was shocked. Goodness. Don't tell me that I am that super deity. But I do not have that metal ring or 7-colored belt. Isn't it said that I would be born with it? Time passed unknowingly. Ling Tian did not know how long he had already spent in his mother's womb. Every day, he only cultivated and slept. Ling Tian only knew that after he was born, he would no longer have such a pure Xiantian qi to absorb anymore. Thus, Ling Tian treasured his time a lot. Apart from the time spent sleeping, he spent all of his free time cultivating. The only thing he could feel was his limbs growing out, and he slowly grew fatter. With the continuous refinement of his body, his hands and legs gained strength. Occasionally, when he kicked lightly, he was able to hear a drumming sound and the gentle scolding of a lady. The effects of the pure Xiantian qi were also revealed slowly. In the little body of Ling Tian, all of his meridians had already been opened up and he had a strong inner qi foundation laid. Occasionally, he touched his own forehead and realized that it was already becoming hard. Ling Tian knew that he would not stay in his mother's womb for long. In just a while, he might officially be born. Right at that moment, Ling Tian suddenly thought of a serious problem. I have been training like mad in my mother's womb. My body is healthy, with all my meridians strengthened. But I am still a little too big. From what I know, I am probably around 8 or 9 caddies heavy. How would I be able to go out? Furthermore, my skull is much stronger than that of an ordinary infant. What if I can't go out? Damn it. How did things turn out like that? Ling Tian just wanted to cry. Just when he was at a loss, he suddenly had an idea. I seem to have found a martial arts manual that is able to shrink my bones when viewing the Ling family's martial arts collection previously. The heavens do indeed provide a way. Ling Tian was filled with tears of excitement. Without delay, Ling Tian began to search for the bone-shrinking martial arts from his memories and spent his sleeping time on training. This concerned his life. How could he not be anxious? Now, Ling Tian only had a single thought: it is still best to be from the side branch. Only the direct descendants had the right to enter the martial hall to view the martial arts manual anytime they wanted. For someone like Ling Tian, who belonged to the side branch, he only had a single day per month to enter the martial hall. Thus, Ling Tian first memorized any martial arts or cultivation method which he was interested in the moment he had a chance to enter. He would then only study it after he returned to his own courtyard. As time went on, he also had this habit and memorized many different martial arts and cultivation methods. Now, it was finally the time to use it. Ling Tian asked himself, if he had been a direct descendant back then who had free access to the martial hall, would he have still spent that much effort to memorize all of the martial arts manuals? Of course, he wouldn't. For the first time in his life, Ling Tian was thankful that he was born in the side branch. Thank goodness. At least the tragedy of both mother and child dying has been avoided. Legend of Ling Tian. Chapter 5, Complications. After a series of hard work, Ling Tian finally made some progress with the divine bone-shrinking art. As such, Ling Tian had one less thing to worry about. Estimating that it was about time, Ling Tian got more excited. Every day, he rested his ears against his mother's stomach in order to listen to the sounds from outside. Every time he heard his mother's voice, he inevitably felt a sense of closeness to her. Perhaps these are the blood ties between mother and child, Ling Tian thought. Out of boredom, Ling Tian placed his ears upon his mother's stomach again today and heard chatters from the outside. He heard a frail voice, "Madam, you don't have to worry. This subordinate has a prescription for you here. As long as Madam drinks it, both you and your child would definitely be safe and the child will be born smoothly." Ling Tian immediately thought to himself, "Madam. Subordinate. It seems that this life, which I've been reincarnated to, isn't too bad and has a certain status. At least I will not suffer too much after I'm born." Ling Tian was overjoyed. As he heard the frail voice mention the medicine, Ling Tian immediately realized that the medicine would most likely expedite his birth. If not, why would he have said, "You and your child would definitely be safe and the child will be born smoothly"? If Ling Tian was outside, he would definitely have shouted out loud, "It isn't good to use medicine to expedite birth. It's best to just let nature take its course." He suddenly felt a tremor. His mother must have received the packet of medicine. Following which, he heard a gentle voice, "Thank you, Sir Su. Men, serve Sir Su some tea. Madam is too polite. If there is nothing else, this subordinate will take his leave." The frail old voice sounded. "Sir Su, have a good trip. Men, send Sir Su out." The voice trailed off. Ling Tian sighed. It seems that she will definitely take this medicine for sure. After a few hours, Ling Tian, who was in meditation, felt a weird medicinal energy flowing into his body through the umbilical cord. In that instant, he felt that something was wrong. His whole body began to feel weird. Ling Tian was immediately shocked. "Goodness, don't tell me it's poison." As he circulated his qi, Ling Tian carefully inspected the medicine and almost cursed, "This is no medicine to expedite birth. It is no fetus-protecting medicine. Its only use seems to be to stimulate the fetus to move around more in the womb. Ordinary infants would definitely not be able to endure the effects of this medicine and move around vigorously. It doesn't matter if they are born already or not. In the womb, there is an umbilical cord attached. If he were to have any vigorous movements in the womb, he would definitely get tangled up with the umbilical cord. If that's the case, the process of childbirth will definitely be extremely complicated. The tragic loss of both lives definitely can't be avoided then. This medical officer with surname Su definitely does not have good intentions." Ling Tian made sure to commit this voice to memory. "Thankfully, the child in my mother's womb is me, this young master. If not, I would definitely end up becoming a ghost without even knowing why. This would even affect my mother's life. This is something unacceptable." He neutralized the poison in this body calmly as he became suspicious. "It is impossible for this doctor to harm my mother for no rhyme or reason. Besides, unless he doesn't want to live anymore, a professional medical officer should not have any conflict with my mother who belongs to a noble family." But from his voice, he did not sound too young. After struggling to stay alive for so many years, it doesn't seem like he would commit suicide. From the above few reasons, the only thing that was certain was that that doctor with the surname Su definitely had a mastermind behind him. For the first time, Ling Tian felt that being born into this family, his life wasn't going to be so simple. Since there was an enemy who wanted to kill this unborn infant, it was clear just how vicious he was. Ling Tian was worried. Just what kind of living conditions would he face in future? In Ling Tian's memories, all doctors with the title of medical officer were definitely imperial doctors serving the royal family in the olden days. If his guess was right, the family which he belonged to was definitely not a simple one. That could be deduced from the way the medical officer with surname Su was so respectful. As an imperial doctor serving the royal family, his status was above over 99% of the people in the world. But he was still so respectful to Ling Tian's mother. It could be seen just how large his family was. In this world, his family was definitely one able to affect the balance of power in the country. This also meant that his mother and father's status in the family was not low at all. It was extremely likely that they were the bloodline of the ruling party in the family. Because the enemy in hiding would actually use the imperial doctors to deal with this unborn infant. Ling Tian was certain that the real motive of his enemy, who instructed the imperial doctor to poison him, would be to kill him before he was born. But just why would they deal with a harmless infant like me? Don't tell me my very existence threatens them. As Ling Tian deliberated over it, he concluded that there was only a single explanation for his hidden enemy to deal with him. Since his very existence threatened their interests, just who could an infant like him possibly threaten? The biggest threat he posed seemed only to be inheriting his family in future. However, if he were to continue along this line of thought, Ling Tian helplessly realized that the direction he was headed was wrong from the beginning. If he were to think along the lines of him being the next family successor, then the person who wanted to harm him was definitely within his family. But how is it possible for someone within my family to command an imperial doctor? Don't tell me my family is so large to such a frightening extent. Then, Ling Tian began to think in the direction of the royal family. But the more he tried to think about it, the more he was confused. As he thought about it, Ling Tian almost felt like his brain was exploding and could not help but curse. This young master hasn't been born yet and you are giving me so much troubles already. Once I'm born, won't I be frustrated to death every day? No matter how he thought about it, he just could not figure it out. Thus, he gave up and fully focused on absorbing the CTNChemSci. This CTNChemSci was not the pure CTNChemSci which martial arts cultivators wanted. The difference between pure CTNChemSci and CTNChemSci is extremely huge. Only after absorbing CTNChemSci into the body with a superior cultivation method and circulating it around the body a few times will there be a possibility of it being transformed into pure CTNChemSci. However, not everyone who absorbs CTNChemSci would be able to refine pure CTNChemSci. Besides the fact that CTNChemSci is extremely scarce, the CTNChemSci in the atmosphere has many impurities within it, making it extremely difficult to deal with them individually. Furthermore, one would have to block the Houtian breath in order to refine pure CTNChemSci. Just this point alone would become the biggest barrier differentiating a martial artist from a CTN expert. But Ling Tian was not concerned about those two problems at all. First, being an infant, the CTNChemSci which he was absorbing was completely pure. Even if he wanted to absorb something else, it was impossible. Second, Ling Tian, who was in his mother's body, did not have a Houtian's breath at all. Thus, there was no need to block it at all. If those were the only two reasons, then it wouldn't be much. However, Ling Tian was an anomaly who was reincarnated with the memories of his past life. In those memories, there were cultivation methods and experiences of pure CTNChemSci. With all of these encounters, Ling Tian became a weirdo who should not be born at all. He was actually able to achieve a pure CTNChemSci foundation in his mother's womb. With such a foundation, it was impossible for Ling Tian to be an ordinary person even if he wanted to. His life was destined for a bright and colorful path. It seemed as though the heavens planned to compensate all of his losses from the previous life in his current life. He couldn't be ordinary even if he wanted to. After some time, Ling Tian, who was circulating pure CTNChemSci in his body, suddenly felt a tremor as all the sticky amniotic fluid surrounding him was slowly disappearing. At the same time, he could vaguely hear the hurried footsteps of those outside. Ling Tian knew that the time for him to be born had finally arrived. Thinking about this, Ling Tian flipped his body around according to the experience from his past life, with his head facing down. At the same time, he used all of his strength to circulate the divine bone-shrinking art to shrink his head and make it skinnier. Legend of Ling Tian. Chapter 6, Finally Born. Ling Tian felt as though he had almost expended all of his energy and almost passed out from exhaustion, while his mother was also letting out cries of pain. Finally, as mother and child worked together, Ling Tian finally heard an excited cry. "It's out, the child is out. Goodness, he's huge." Following which, Ling Tian relaxed as he thought, "Goodness, I am finally born. I am really so tired." Then, he lost consciousness and fell asleep. In the delivery room, the midwife wiped her face full of sweat and looked at the infant which was just born. Then, she took a cold breath as she thought to herself, "Goodness gracious me, this child is huge. So heavy. I'm afraid he is at least 10 kgs heavy." She then looked towards the young unconscious mother lying on the bed with a sense of lingering fear. Looking at that slender body and beautiful face, she couldn't help but pray, such a large child and such a delicate mother. Both mother and child could actually be born safely. It is really the blessings of the heavens. Amitabha. The news of the safe labor disseminated quickly as the worried men in the living room rushed in without waiting for another second. The first one was a 1.9 meters tall man with a square face and sharp eyebrows. From the way he looked, he should definitely be a person with great authority. Now, that face which was supposed to be filled with an imposing aura was filled with anxiousness, worry and tenderness. The moment he entered the delivery room, she rushed to the side of the young mother and asked with concern, "Tinger, are you all right?" Ling Tian, who was wrapped up in swaddling clothes, had already woken up and taken in his first breath of fresh air. Then, he suddenly felt his nose itch and involuntarily let out a large sneeze. The next moment, he heard someone laughingly scold him, "This little fellow, there isn't anything wrong when someone else carries him. But when I carry him, he actually sprayed me a face full of mucus." Ha! There was no anger in the voice, but only delight, pride, and more importantly, satisfaction and gratitude. It was as though it was a great pride and honor for him to be sprayed a face full of mucus and saliva by his own grandson. As Ling Tian heard this voice, it was enough for him to draw an impression of this old man who had a face full of mucus but was filled with smiles. Furthermore, Ling Tian could be sure that it was definitely accurate. As he gradually opened his eyes, he saw an old face with wrinkles by the corners of the eyes, a head full of white hair and a wide smile, with the corner of his lips almost touching his ears. This was no different to the person in his impression, laughing like an idiot. Ling Tian could not help but despise him in his heart as he revealed a smile. "Wahahaha. Look, he is smiling. My grandson is smiling. Ha ha ha. He is indeed my grandson," smiling the moment he sees his grandfather. Waha. The old man laughed until his saliva began to spit all over, with most of it landing on Ling Tian's face. Ling Tian was completely speechless as he thought, "Just laugh if you want, but is there a need to give me free rein?" Ling Tian almost burst out laughing as he thought to himself, "I did not laugh out of joy when I saw you. It's just that your smile was exactly as I imagined, and that's just too vulgar. So this is my grandfather in this world. Darn old man, you're going crazy again. What if you scare my grandson with your loud voice? Aya, look at your thick and clumsy hands, how will you be able to hold the child? Come, give him to me, give him to me. Good grandson, let Granny hug you. Ha ha ha, look at how handsome he is. These small eyes and nose are exactly the same as his father's." By the side, a kind-looking old lady snatched Ling Tian over and hugged him like a treasured darling. "Really? Aunt, why does this child have so many wrinkles on his face? He looks like a small old man. I can't tell where he resembles elder brother." An extremely annoying voice could be heard. But before that person finished talking, there was a loud commotion, followed by a shriek of pain. The old lady then scolded, "Move off to one side, little brat. Can't you say something nice? Fourth brother is right. Ayah, aunt, take a look, why is this child's head so skinny and long? It looks so ugly." A young lady whined. "Hayes, what do you know? Take a look at his nose, eyebrows, and eyes. All of these are plucked right off your eldest brother's face. Old man, do you agree?" Ling Tian immediately felt that his grandmother was just being unreasonable. He was just born and had used the divine bone shrinking art to make his face long and skinny. If she was really able to spot his resemblance to his father, she was definitely seeing things. That's right. This child looks exactly like his father, Ling Xiao. With one look, it can be seen that we are grandson and grandfather. Without even looking at him carefully, I can be sure that he is the child of my Ling family. Wahahaha. Following which, his grandmother let out a whistle as she carried him and cradled him with a tempo. Admiration. These two old people were just too amazing. They were actually able to spot so many similarities before the child's facial features were even developed properly. They are just too admirable. Following which, a flurry of heads appeared in Ling Tian's vision, with an expression as though they were all looking at a rare treasure. Young master is so handsome. Just someone spouting nonsense. Yes, look at his eyes, they look so energetic. Another one again. Look at his small arms, they have so much strength. He will definitely be a general when he grows up. Another one trying to bootlick. No, look at his eyes, they are filled with wisdom. Young master will definitely be a genius when he grows up. He will definitely be a prime minister at least. This person is even more amazing. I am still closing my eyes, and she can tell that my eyes are filled with wisdom. A large commotion formed and Ling Tian almost fainted from the noise which his many aunties had created. Just when he wanted to fake a cry, he suddenly felt that something was amiss, as though a dangerous aura was approaching him. As he felt that, he immediately opened his eyes. In front of him was a 27-year-old teen with a face full of smiles. As he looked at Ling Tian's eyes, words of praise flowed out from his mouth as though it all came from his heart. Be it the tone of his voice or his animated expressions, they all seemed so natural and full of sincere blessings. Ling Tian could not help but sigh with pity. If this person were to be born in my previous world with his acting skills, he would definitely win the Oscars award. This person is just too good at acting. No one was able to discover the real emotions which he had hidden in his heart. But when he lowered his head to look at Ling Tian, the hatred to this newborn was completely without concealment. From Ling Tian's perspective, he was able to clearly see a chilly gaze in the other party's eyes. That was obviously a large killing intent being born out of dejection. This person is dangerous. Ling Tian immediately felt alarmed. After this young man said a few words, he left Ling Tian and continued to socialize with the others in the room. Occasionally, he cracked a joke and was actually able to adjust the atmosphere in the room to one of harmony in a short period of time. It seems that this person has good relations within the family. Furthermore, he also has a certain degree of intimacy and power. Ling Tian had already made sure to engrave that person's appearance into his memories. He was definitely the first one Ling Tian would have to get rid of. Leaving someone like that by his side was definitely too dangerous for him and his family. Ling Tian snickered, "Little thing, you actually dare to reveal your killing intent in front of me. This young master will definitely toy with you to death when I grow up. Perhaps ordinary infants will not be able to detect your killing intent. But this young master is different. This young master spent a full 25 years hiding like how you did. Playing schemes in front of this young master is nothing more than just trying to display your skills in front of an expert. A maid then walked up and said, reporting to old madam, young madam is awake and wants to look at the child. Okay. This old lady will carry my beloved grandson over. Haze, it has been hard on this lass. Such a fat little boy. I wonder how that frail body of hers managed to deal with it. Is the nourishment soup in the kitchen ready yet? Let them hurry up and send it over for Tinger to replenish her body. The old lady said with concern. A short while later, Ling Tian felt a warm embrace. In the hug, he felt a sense of closeness and familiarity. The moment he was in this person's embrace, Ling Tian felt an unspeakable sense of happiness and reliance. It was as though no storm would be able to touch him as long as he was in this embrace. Ling Tian knew that this embrace could only belong to a single person, his mother. Ling Tian entered this world from the Yellow Springs Road without reason and brought the memories from his previous life. He even thought that he would feel extremely awkward facing his mother as a 25-year-old soul in the body of an infant. But when Ling Tian opened his eyes and saw the gentle smile and her uncontained love and pamper, Ling Tian could not help but feel a sense of closeness to her. In that instant, it was as though his mind returned to his previous life where he enjoyed the joyful youth with his mother. In that instant, Ling Tian felt his heart ache as tears filled his eyes uncontrollably. The lady in front of him still had a face full of fatigue and hair filled with sweat. But in Ling Tian's eyes, it was all so beautiful and gratitude filled his heart. In that instant, Ling Tian decided that he will never let this lady suffer from any heartbreak. Regardless of whom, they must never harm this lady. Because she was the mother of Ling Tian. Baby, don't cry, mother is here. Don't be afraid, mother will protect you. Ling Tian's mother gently cradled him and a strange sense of peace rose in Ling Tian's heart. A wave of fatigue then swept over and Ling Tian gave a loud yawn, comfortably closing his eyes and falling asleep. No matter if it was in this life or his previous one, in a total of 26 years, this was the first time Ling Tian was able to sleep without any worries and problems. Legend of Ling Tian. Chapter 7, Powerful Family. In Duke Ling's mansion, there was a new son, a new fat grandson. General Ling finally had his first son. Both mother and son were safe, with the weight of the newborn child reaching a whole 9 caddies and 2 tails. This matter spread like a tsunami, alerting all of the upper echelons within the sky-bearing empire. Apart from the high status of Duke Ling and General Ling, the Ling family was one of the 6 biggest aristocratic families which held the most authority in the world. Duke Ling, Ling Zhan, was the family head of this large family. Be it in terms of wealth or manpower, the Ling family was positioned well at a frightening level. The next instant, the gates of the Ling family were filled with a long queue of people, an endless crowd bustling to give their blessings to the Ling family. Not to mention the Yang family, who was in the same empire. Even the other 4 families from the other 2 continents had sent people over to congratulate the Ling family. Even the emperor of the sky-bearing empire paid a personal visit to the Ling family before the first full month of young Master Ling. In the sky-bearing empire, almost everyone knew that Duke Ling and the late emperor were sworn brothers who were life and death comrades. Of the large territorial lands of the sky-bearing empire, at least half of them were captured by Duke Ling. No one in the empire was able to match his large contributions to the empire. As for General Ling Xiao, he was one of the pillars within the empire's army today. At least a third of all the troops were within the control of General Ling. The amount of authority he held was comparable to even the Prime Minister, Yang Kong-kun of the Yang family. Apart from these, General Ling and the present emperor were like brothers and grew up together since young. Furthermore, the only sister of General Ling was Consort Ling, who had a status only lower than the empress in the imperial palace. Who would dare to look down on such a family? Before Ling Tian was even a month old, 2 warehouses, each the Ling family built beforehand to store the various congratulatory gifts, were completely full. Furthermore, the guest rooms in the Ling family were completely full during this period. The bright laughter of Duke Ling would sound ever so often, and General Ling, who was gloomy over having no descendant, had completely brightened up. As for the charitable old Madam Ling, she donated 10,000 taels of silver to aid the victims of disasters. All of a sudden, all of the poor families had erected a longevity tablet for old Madam Ling. After Ling Tian understood all of these matters, he was not only unhappy but also extremely worried. Just as the saying goes, anything which is at its limit would easily falter. Presently, the authority which the Ling family possessed was already at a dangerous level. It was able to threaten the authority of the imperial family already. This was definitely not a good thing. It was impossible for a family this strong to not draw the attention of the imperial family. Perhaps now the Ling family was deeply rooted within the empire and couldn't be easily provoked. Another reason was that the empire was still young, with troubles brewing internally and externally. Thus, the Ling family was still needed to subdue any chaos. As such, the authority of the Ling family would still be on the uprise for a short period of time. However, when the imperial power was firm with both internal and external troubles gone, it would also be end of the line for the Ling family. Any large empires would not be able to accept the existence of such a large power like the Ling family. Getting rid of anything once their purpose had been served had been the way history had always taken place. In comparison to authority, all friendship and brotherhood seemed dull and useless. This was politics. Ling Tian felt that he definitely had to take some precautionary measures and do something about it. His grandfather, Ling Zhan, had already passed his prime, and his father, Ling Xiao, was deadly loyal to the empire and was trapped by his friendship with the emperor. If things were to go on like this, the destruction of the Ling family would be inevitable. Now, the Ling family had its own rightful successor, who was a male. This would definitely make the empire even more suspicious and wary. After all, it was far too easy for the Ling family to stage a rebellion with its authority and power. After he was certain of his family's situation, Ling Tian realized that he was born in the middle of a tsunami. It was as though he was born atop a volcano. He inevitably became the focus of all the big families. With regard to such a situation, Ling Tian could only laugh bitterly in his heart. Ling Tian understood that if he were to just be a little outstanding and he grows up, the Ling family would be in an even greater danger. Thinking about this, Ling Tian just wanted to cry out, "After putting up an act for the whole of my previous life, don't tell me I would still." The only thing that Ling Tian felt happy about was that his name had finally been decided after a night of discussion among his parents and grandfather. What made Ling Tian the most surprised was that his name was the same as the one in his previous life, Ling Tian. Damn it, not only did I come here with my memories, but also with my name, Ling Tian thought to himself. Just when he was happy, he could not help but curse as well. Curse his stupid grandfather and foolish-looking father. They are just 2 political idiots. They do not have any sense of politics in them. If they were to be described with the words from my previous life, they are simply complete idiots. In his previous life, the name Ling Tian wasn't considered much. In fact, it was considered an extremely ordinary name with some grandeur. But in this world where there were still kingdoms and empires, this was a rebellious name. Ling Tian estimated that if this world was like the Qing dynasty of his previous world, just his name alone would guarantee that his whole family would be beheaded. 1. Regarding how clueless his father and grandfather were towards politics, Ling Tian was completely speechless. Ling Tian also gave the Ling family a big surprise. He refused to have any of the milk from the healthy nanny whom old Madame Ling specially found. Every time the nanny placed her at his mouth, this brat would shift his head to the side and reject it. He would rather wail from hunger and refuse to eat it. This made old Madame Ling completely worried. What a joke! The breast milk from my own mother is the best choice for me to grow up healthily. What's so nice about the milk from those ladies without any blood relations to me? They are nothing more than just cows in human form. If you want me to drink their milk, why not just let me drink the milk from cows? Of course, Ling Tian had plans in his heart when he rejected them. Out of her love for Ling Tian, Chu Ting'er insisted to hug her child in her embrace. What she did not expect was that the moment Ling Tian was in the embrace of his own mother, he became extremely cooperative, drinking the milk with large gulps with a face full of happiness. Old Madame Ling was worried because her daughter-in-law's body was already slightly weak to begin with. Furthermore, Ting'er had just given birth and old Madame Ling was worried that her body could not take it. She was even more afraid that Ting'er could not produce enough milk, starving her grandson. Thus, she always came and took a look every now and then. However, she never expected that after a whole month, Chu Ting'er was not only unaffected by taking care of the child, but also even healthier than before she was pregnant and filled with more energy. Ling Tian was secretly delighted. When he was first born, he had already realized that his mother's body was extremely weak. After going through child delivery, her body was on the verge of breaking down. Ling Tian did not want to experience the sadness of losing his mother at such a young age. Thus, he secretly used his pure Xiantian qi to take care of his mother's meridians and repair the damages in her body while he was drinking milk. The effect was indeed extremely good. As long as Chu Ting'er did not run into any accidents in future, Ling Tian was certain that she would definitely be able to live to a ripe old age. Ling Tian surprised the Ling family in another aspect. Ever since he was born, he had never once urinated on the bed. Even if he had to bear with it until his face turned red, he did not urinate on the bed. Instead, he created a commotion with his arms and legs in order to remind the adults behind him that he needed to urinate. This was simply a genius. Every time there were guests in the family, his mother and grandmother announced this fact with pride. Without fail, it drew gazes of envy and looks of shock from everyone, followed by a wave of praises. With regard to his mother and grandmother boasting about the fact that he would not urinate on the bed, Ling Tian felt extremely depressed. No matter what, I have a mental age of over 25 years old. How is it possible that I would still do something like that? If you want a 25-year-old teen to urinate on the bed, why don't you ask a carnivore to eat only vegetables? As the days passed, the Ling family found another strange thing about young Master Ling. This young master never cried or threw a tantrum. His actions were regulated to the point it was scary. When it was time to sleep, he would close his eyes obediently and fall asleep. When it was time to drink milk, he would open his mouth without a need for anyone to coax him. When he wasn't eating or sleeping, he was also extremely obedient. He would either listen to the adults talk with interest or lie by the side quietly and play on his own. Almost everyone who saw the young master said that they had never seen a child so obedient. As such, the legends of the young master of the Ling family spread widely, though everyone in the sky-bearing empire knew that he was a super genius.